Hello, Ultrabounce cinematographer here, and today we're gonna do cinematographer breakdown about sport commercial, how to make it more intense, interesting, and so on. Especially if you're working with small amount of crew. And let's start thinking about framing and the style that I choose for this kind of commercial. I use different type of techniques here. It's like a slow shutter, then see the combination with dolly zoom and the slow shutter, which is works pretty well for that emotion scenario when you just doing cycling, and all of these things there. I have just a basic shot without any of that special effects, and you can see the difference and feel the difference. Let's talk about lighting kit for this commercial. It was pretty lean, but I would say absolutely effective in that way that we just moving around constantly. The problem in this thing, the small scale commercial, is that you just need to move faster. You have different type of rooms there, like meaning you have different scenes, obviously different scenes, kind of different location. We in the same big gym, yeah, but the different room has different tonality, different color, different window size, different all of these things, and you need to be prepared for that. And what I did, I took C-stand on the wheels, which is not typical thing to do, obviously, because C-stand not that tool for basically put the lighting on it, ideally, yeah. But here is special occasion because I didn't have a combo on the wheels, and I just took the stand, wheels, put the extension arm, and bring my lovely Godox 800R, which is 4x4 light mat with full RGB, lumen radio, magenta correction. I use this Godox a lot in terms of wrapping around, fighting the windows, because the windows was pretty big there, and amount of ambient light for sure absolutely enormous in some case, but I managed to just expose my camera towards the windows and then bring this Godox, which is 4x soft, nice, and create all of this wrapping around right there. And it was amazing because yes, I typically used F22C for that purpose in some cases, but the problem of F22C is just a 2x2 light mat, and for more soft light you need to diffuse that more, which is requires you to have another stand, some silk open flag or something like that, or 3x3 grid in front of it to make it softer. Or if you will use it without this, it's gonna be 2x2 smaller size, more harsh shadows. And I want to have more soft light from the get-go without introduce 8x, which is nice to have 8x frame or T-bone, magic cloth, full grid, all of this stuff make your light pretty milky soft. But in this instant we need to move faster, and that's why I used 800R Godox, which is absolutely amazing light. The next light was spotlight. I like to have spotlight. You never know when you need to throw some special things on a wall, create some slash, or create a local contrast, or spice things up a little bit, For example, in this cycle room, I created just a slash on the wall, fast and easy, then put the Godox 800R on the face of the main actor and kind of merge the temperature, because we didn't have a sun kicking from the window, yeah, and I kind of want to simulate the sun kicking from the window, create a slash there slightly, yeah, because the room pretty tight and you can't just go and set up outside something and stuff like that, because we're also on the second floor. This was a little bit challenging because and when she just throwing kettlebell, I put her in this scenario when it's obviously just a lot of windows behind, and she just standing like that. But I had perspective there and nice depth, and I decided, okay, let's wrap around the face just slightly, but in different kind of reality. And as you can see, motivation from that window, we have a harsh light on her from the one side, but not that harsh on a basic like a front of the face, yeah. And what I did is just a spotlight taken from the window side as a more harsh backlight, and then I introduced $800 Godox to just to have ambient, yeah, just to amplify ambient a little bit more, not wrapping around with shadows and stuff like that, because it's gonna be a little bit unrealistic for my taste, yeah. Because if you just shoot in and window behind, wrap around the face, yes, I did this several different times, but in this time I choose different approach to kind of have more naturalistic and smooth feeling throughout the scene, yeah, right there. Another instance where I use this Godox and with combination of spotlight, this shot we actually kicked from commercial, but we just can talking about this in terms of lighting. As you can see, we have more warm light on his face, yeah. This was a Aputure 300x through the spotlight, kind of more harsh, like a sun kicking, yeah. And other side of the face, we see kind of just a more bluish kind of back kick, rim, whatever. And motivation for that, obviously, windows behind all this ambient light, yeah. And because of the color of the skin, you have to introduce some density, color, especially for more guys with just a slightly darker skin. You have warm light on the face, and that's absolutely emphasized there and took them from the background a lot. That's what I love here. It's kind of just a color contrast between that, and harshness of the light also increase the all of the details in the face in terms of sweat, tears, all of these things, and looks pretty good in terms of sport, commercial, or kind of narrative like that. Let's talking about relaxing, yoga, and this kind of room. And when I saw this room in the first time, I thought, okay, it's gonna be a little bit problematic to set up here because of this floor color. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty obvious casting the ugly color on the face, and for that instance, for a wide shot, it's gonna be okay, but for the close-up, yeah. And how to solve this kind of problem, and I will show you right now how to do that. First shot, high angle, absolutely nice stuff. You have your window, you have your motivation, you have just natural light there, nothing. And then we move to the close-up, and then sun started to play with us, just showing up, then go behind the clouds and all of this jam. And then we introduced our Godox 800R as well to create a wrap around the face. And more interesting thing here is the floppy. You have to put the floppy or just massive amount of duvetine on the ground, as well as put from the shadow side, kind of create the cover for shadow, in order to have nice clean shadows and color of the skin. Because all of this sun just bouncing from the floor has a color, whatever its color is gonna be on the skin, and this is not good. That's why we just put the duvet on the floor and then increase the color contrast by the floppy from the shadow side, and now we have pretty nice skin right there. And don't forget, I have a DOP camp. It's practical, intense cinematographer training for those of you who want to transition from videography and make your first high-level spec commercial as a cinematographer. Enroll now, spots are limited. In terms of camera and lenses, it was pretty lean and basic. FX3 plus G Master Sony 2470. And I love to use zoom lenses when I do handheld stuff, because I'm always can kind of introduce some zoom, dolly zoom stuff when I just bored with basic shots, which is obviously pretty usual scenario to have this kind of static boring shots. I usually try to convince director to do something more dynamic, more interesting. And nowadays with AI and all of this stuff, you have to do something different. You have to change your creativity or just level up to your creativity to something more and more. We can have something like a parafocal lens like DZO, some zoom lenses there that you just can set up a focus and then move your zoom ring and create all of this kind of zoom slash crash on all of this stuff like that, because it just like brings more dynamic to the shot. Obviously not every single shot has to be dynamic like that, and absolutely, because the main key of cinematographer is just knowing where you can apply sort of different technique. You have to have them in your kind of baggage, yeah, but you need to know when you just pick this thing for that thing or pick this for another one. And emotional also crucial when you just speak with director, like align with director is main kind of thing, because it's teamwork, yeah, as a cinematographer, because you just one person that will make the images nice. But in order to make images nice, you have to understand the editing, you have to understand the color, you have to figure out the tempo, what's the music, what's the kind of key moments in the commercial. It's not just the making images, just the making image is not enough right now, you know. And our age and what's going on with all of this creative industry, AI technology and stuff like that, making images just not enough. You have to be professional in some variety of this stuff to make things happen, and also collaborate with director on a different type of level when you and him just pushing boundaries as much as you can. This is reality of the thing, pushing the boundaries every time that you have this commercial, because we could just show up there, bring the gimbal and go each room, gimbal in, gimbal out, showing the faces, showing the couple exercises, and that's all. Finish, goodbye, money here, money there, yeah. But instead of it, we did opposite side of the thing. We just make almost a legit kind of bigger and different creative commercial for specific gym that is not requires to have this kind of stuff, you know, in small town or something like that. People is not having this type of commercials on the plate every day, you know, and that's kind of exciting to give the client opportunity to see that quality, to have this quality, obviously, and that's why you, whatever you do, whenever you just based or all of this stuff, you have to push the boundaries. Let's go.